Thank you. Great.
Okay.
Rajeev, it's such a pleasure to speak to you. I've followed quite a bit of the work you've done, and especially what the work you did in Love Sitara. I really like that. It's a
Thank you so much.
very charming role. And I was just reading your bio, and I was wondering how a boy from Doon School in St. Stephen's landed in Bollywood or in the Mumbai film industry.
Ma'am, I was in a boarding school since I was 5 years old.
Right.
So in a boarding school, generally, you're encouraged to do extracurricular activities and
Right.
sports along with studies. So I was fortunate that, I did decently well at elocutions, debating, writing, apart from sports and studies. And so I guess the seed of performing was probably there since the very beginning, but the courage wasn't there as much. Because, coming from conventional families who just prioritize academics, and rightfully so, because they are also conditioned in that way.
Yeah.
So I was very, I had my career path almost like written out for me by everybody else in the family. And so when I
Which
went to
was
St.
that?
Stephen's, which was basically Stevens ke baad IAS या IPS government service or corporate,
Right.
So I also did I was a part of the Shakespeare Society in Stevens as well. But
Right.
like I said, I didn't have the courage then to at least own up to myself that, hey, maybe, this is a great viable option. And you hear of stories how difficult it is for people who don't have any backing or who don't know anybody as such. And all the more so, I think I've become better, but I was quite an introvert back in the day. So I said,
Oh.
without any connection, being an introvert, tab to bhai, nothing is going to happen materialize for you. Yeah. But it just so happened that after finishing my MBA, I was working at an investment bank as a wealth advisor. And my job was to go to HNIs and tell them how to become richer. And I thought to myself, yeah, this though I'm just fooling myself. I'm just telling very rich people how to become richer. I mean, they already know it, but they need advice from me. And
Right.
then I realized that was just like me acting in a way. I was just faffing my way out of, situations and meetings. And after a year or so, I don't know, this gut feeling, this intuition kept nagging me. And I really, really, I mean, I was almost forced to follow that feeling. And then thereby I just chose to become an actor because I just kept getting that thing from within that, this is not for you, this is not for you, just take up acting. And I remember going to my boss, who was really like the finest gentleman, and I told him that, sir, I'm putting in my papers. And he looked at me and said, "Kyun hero banna chahte ho kya?" So, and because this is in Bombay, right? And I
Right.
said, yeah. And he was very kind. And he actually came for my first performance at Prithvi Theatre. I was doing a play called Aadhe Adhure with Lily Dubey and Mohan Agashe. And he came and he, he congratulated me. And I realized that if you have a dream and if you follow it, and the people around you will definitely be there cheering for you. So that's how it just, I mean, the almost like not in the major details, but this is how it somehow panned out. Me entering
Right.
acting.
What did your parents do? Were they aghast at what you were doing?
That's I love. Yes, ma'am, that's the exact word. They were aghast, and they were aghast, and my relatives were baffled, and they were like, "Arey, you've studied so hard, you've done economics, you've done this. What do you do?" And I just thought to myself, I mean, I understand where, now in hindsight, when I look back, I obviously understand where they were coming from, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody wants their kids or people in their family to be stable or to be, or at least in
Settled.
their eyes,
Settled.
settled. Exactly. And fortunately, by the grace of God, I knew that life is not about settling. You may think you're settled one moment, but the next moment something is going to come out of the blue and unsettle you. So that that slight wisdom was always there. So even though I knew that all my relatives, my parents, some of my friends, they had best intentions for me according to them, I just knew that uh, I had to follow this. I had to follow this path because all my life I've always followed what my heart really tells me and, nags at me for a long period of time. So uh, I did that. And again, in hindsight, I'm glad that there was so much opposition actually, because uh, I still continued in this journey. Because if there was so much opposition and I folded, then I would have known that this passion for acting isn't as strong as I think it is.
Right.
So,
What do your parents do, Rajiv?
they were in the government service. My dad was in the government service. He retired.
Okay. Okay. So they're based in Delhi or Bombay or
No, no, they were based in UP, so all over the place in UP. So right now
right,
they're in
right.
Lucknow.
Okay. So when did you finally enter, finally become an actor? When did you do this play, Aadhe Adhure?
I finally, so professionally, let's say, I started acting in 2011. Adhe Dore, we performed in 2011 in Bangalore for the first time. I remember our opening show was in Bangalore. And it's a classic, right? Mohan
Yeah,
Rakesh, I think he's a
absolutely.
genius writer. And I was so lucky, ma'am, that, like when one decides to become an actor, and like I said, my networking skills were probably minus 30 or something because I genuinely was terrible at networking. And just to be able to audition for my first professional play with Lile Dubey, Mohan Nagashi, with the writing like Mohan Rakesh, I was lucky to get it. And just to find a supportive atmosphere like Primetime Theatre, that's the group run by Ma'am,
Right.
because initially you're looking for all the confidence, all the, you know, the gentleness when you're starting off as a career, because it's so easy to be shot down. And besides, your whole family is against you. And even if let's say people in the workspace also give you a tough time, it would be a terrible time for one. But I was lucky that I had, Mohanji and Lilith ma'am just almost like holding my hands. And I was so grateful that I got to do that play because we performed it in India all across. We went to Dubai with it, and we've traveled all over like I've been to all parts of India where I couldn't have gone without the play. And it was just, I think from there it started. And then I did a film called Jolly LLB,
Yeah.
where I had very minimal dialogue. And I remember back in the day, I mean, I think it happens in every actor's life, and sometimes more, sometimes less. But because it was my first big sort of a film, I was looking at all the reviews, etc. And there was one gentleman I think who mentioned this again, despite me having any dialogues, that Rajeev Siddhartha's expressions are on point in every scene. And I was like, wow, man, this person is noticing that. And I remember at a success party, Arshad Warsi, he came up to me, and he didn't need to. You see, he just came up to me and he said, Tere mein kuch baat hai, tu bas lage rahe. And I don't know whether you remember this,
Right.
but it just touched my heart. And because, like I said, any sort of encouragement at when you're starting out is always so, it's almost nurturing. And I'm glad that I found these really people around me, who just encouraged me.
But has it always been that way, Rajiv? It is also quite a cruel industry, right? Can be very, very cruel.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But it's very, very, very tough, and that's why when I look back, I'm almost amazed that given the qualities that I had as a human being, which is basically not being able to mingle much with people, not being able to network much with people, I have been fortunate to be part of such great projects and and play such important characters in them. I think it is very important to again, because of life experiences, I realized that if I look for external validation and external praise, I will always fall. I'll be a prisoner, right? And therefore, I think a part of my study also would be to help evolve myself as a human being, where uh, the internal uh, structure matters much more than anything else, right? And if I'm working hard at my craft on a day-to-day basis, that gives me much more joy, and or ideally should give me much more joy than somebody else saying something nasty, or me not being favored for certain roles because somebody else was favored for those roles because they had some connection or the other. It was always never like this. There have been times where it's been, one feels low and one feels that the path was easier. But then when I look back and I look at my growth, both as an actor and as a human being, I quite like this. I quite like this. I wouldn't change
I,
much.
I see autobiography of a yogi behind you. So do you read a
There
lot?
is, I
Yeah.
do, I do. I do. In fact, that book was given to my aunt long ago. One of the few supportive aunts for my acting career. She gave me this book. She said, "Please read this," and so I've read it. Yep.
Yeah. I think reading and a lot of doing a lot of spiritual work helps, right?
Absolutely, ma'am. Because at the end of the day, they always say
Such
an
a
actor.
lonely profession.
Sorry?
It's such a lonely profession, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And because an actor's job is to empathize, and
Yeah.
it is so easy to empathize with characters who, according to society, are winners and champions. It is easy, but to
Yeah.
empathize with the rejects, with the discarded people, with the villains, that is so difficult. So I think spirituality, in that sense, really helps you really see the other person for who they are, uh, and not for what society has labeled them as, in a way, right? So it really helps you be grounded, and it really helps you, well, counter or or transcend loneliness in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Because no matter how many friends you have or how popular you become, then you acquire a sort of entourage and all that. Eventually, it's really just you, right? And
Ma'am,
you have to choose, and sometimes the choices are right. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You know.
agree.
So, if you start going down that spiral and thinking about what didn't come your way, what came your way, I mean, that's endless, no?
Exactly. And I remember Nasir sir had said one line long ago, दाने दाने पे लिखा है खाने वाले का नाम. So, so वही है.
Really. So, but let's talk about the stuff you've done. You're always a very nice guy, usually, no? Very evolved. Uh, I mean, in former shots as well. I mean, it's such a nice role. I don't know why she keeps rejecting you. Something wrong with her. But like even in Love Sitara, I mean, there's something very nice about some of these roles that you play. So, talk a bit about getting typecasted as the nice guy. Not such a bad thing, right?
Not so bad thing at all. But like any actor, I would love to show, well, I would love to get opportunities to show some range, and that's why I think theater helps me,
Yeah.
satisfy that because recently with Lilith ma'am, I'm doing a play called Gauhar, and in that play, I'm playing three different parts. So I'm
Oh,
playing.
as in Gauhar Jan, the singer.
Yes, ma'am. It's about her life.
Oh, who's
So
playing Gauhar?
earlier, Rajeshwari Sajdev was playing Gauhar, and now Girija Godbole. Yeah.
Nice.
And they both are tremendous actresses and singers as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm playing, one of the parts is Gauhar's domestic help. The other is her aristocratic lover. And
Wow.
the third is a barrister who's returned from England. And all these three men, the only thing common they have is that they take Gauhar for a ride. So
Oh,
unfortunately, I play the bad guy.
that's very bad.
It's terrible. It's
Then,
terrible.
so it's like a two-act play, just the two of you?
No, no. It's got six actors, but I think three of us are playing two, three different parts as well.
Very nice. So
Yeah.
is it running right now in Mumbai?
We keep performing. In fact, a lot of right now there is no show which is going to happen, but if there is, I'll definitely keep you posted because we
No,
keep
I'm not
performing.
in Mumbai. I'm in Delhi, so I'd love it if this came to Delhi.
I will tell, ma'am, because we also come to Delhi so often. So I'll
Okay,
definitely.
great. So theater is very much a part of your work.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not just something you do while you're not doing movies.
Not at all, not at all. Because again, the earlier I would get a bit nervous. Again, just like most actors, when you go on stage for the first time, when you make your
Yeah, yeah.
entry.
Oof, I tell you,
But
very nerve-wracking.
yeah. But recent of late, I've realized that every time I go on the stage, it feels like home.
Yeah,
So maybe, and I think that's how I also realized when I first went on a set, and when you're new, you're not getting special treatment at all. You're just there. But despite all the chaos of the sound and the lights and everybody shouting over each other, I was centered. And then I just thought to myself that what better place to work at where you feel centered? Because
yeah,
at the end of the day, that is one thing for sure. I'm sure about myself that I always want to work or hang out with people where I feel centered, who make me feel at ease and feel centered. And I think that's how I realized that, well, maybe movies are my calling because I'm just feeling so centered despite all the chaos around.
right. So, I mean, of late you've had Love Sitara, Honeymoon Photographer,
Where I'm playing a
this week. Yeah, okay. I have not watched that. Very bad.
It's okay.
But it'll be interesting to see you playing a bad guy. What else? What else are you doing, Raji?
So we I hopefully Ashram's new season should come out soon. Again,
Ah, nice. That's a huge hit, isn't it?
it's
It
absolutely a
has a
huge hit. And
huge following.
yeah, 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 yeah. And everywhere, I go at the airports, etc., etc. Everybody really wants to know when the next season is going to come out. And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Bhai, I wish I was a producer, but I'm not. I can't tell
yeah.
you." But again, working with Prakash, sir, he's just I
Like,
again working with people who are so sure of their craft and who have so much
yeah.
experience. It helps you. It helps you just grow.
And
In
just listening to him, there's such a lot of experience, life experience, people
Yeah,
like
yeah.
him have.
I agree.
There
I
must be
agree. I
so
agree.
much you must be learning. What
Yeah.
else do you have coming up?
Well, there is something which I'm about to start shooting, which I can't speak about because
Is it
non-disclosure.
exciting?
Very exciting. Very different from a nice chap, nice guy. And yeah,
Why
yeah.
are you staying away from this nice niche
No,
you
no, no.
have? No,
I
no,
want
but
to do
it's
everything.
good. Exactly. I mean, as an actor, obviously want to do everything. Great. It's so nice. But I mean, sometimes when you lose out on a role, I mean, for reasons that are never disclosed, I presume, nobody actually calls back and tells you, hello, you didn't get the
Not
part because I preferred XYZ for XYZ reason. So I mean, does that feel really bad? How do you overcome things like that? And it must have happened. It happens in every actor's life, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So earlier, if it happened, I would feel bad for like a week. Now, if it happens, I feel bad for an hour. But that's the thing. But I'm a firm believer in destiny in that sense. So I like I said, दाने दाने पे लिखा है खाने वाले का नाम तो फिर I feel कि ठीक है. I mean, he or she, was meant to do that part, and
Right.
that's it. That's it. And the thing is that I just continuously work hard on my craft because even let's say to play a conventional part, a nice guy, a guy who's principled, etc. In fact, sometimes I feel parts like that are slightly more difficult to play because when you're playing a villain or you're playing a gray, mysterious part, chances are that you can get to do a lot of histrionics with your body and
Right.
all of that, which people may mistake for great acting. Sometimes people think most acting is the best acting.
Yeah.
But in parts where you're playing a nice guy or like principled, righteous, supportive part, they require slight more stillness, I feel. So
Mm.
I feel sometimes that they are slightly more difficult to play.
what kind of work do you do to keep honing your craft apart from plays? Do you also do workshops and things like that?
A lot of workshops, a lot of because you know, I haven't had the good fortune to go to National School of Drama.
Right.
I continuously attend workshops. I have lots of books on acting, and those books have so many exercises where I think the crux of it would be they help align your mind, body, and spirit. So, hence, I think to, when you start reading scripts after that, you can grasp the nuances much more easier, I feel.
Right. Is there something that you've said no to which you have regretted later or felt that, oh, I wish I had done that?
No, but there are so many close calls that have happened where, but then
Yeah.
I'm like, but theek hai. But I'm sure a lot of people would have had close calls with Love Sitara, and they must
Ah,
be feeling, but it's fine. That's
yeah.
how life is.
It's okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, is your family happy with you finally, or they still want you to?
Oh, no, extremely happy. Everybody's very happy.
So, when you go back home, you're the star.
But yeah, in fact, I'd gone to my bua's daughter's, my cousin's wedding in Patna, and everybody, was like the guests, everybody wanted to take photographs. I think my parents were very, very proud then. And it also happened that I thought that, they would have seen the more popular work, which is Ashram, four more shots. But there were a couple of, ladies who had seen a show called 100. It's on Disney Hotstar. It's got
Ah, that's right.
Danta, Rinku Rajguru,
Right, right. That
and I
crop. She's
love that.
playing the crop, no?
Yeah, and I love that show, and I was so happy that people had seen that, and I said, Auntie, you're the true fan. You've seen 100, so it feels
So,
very
are
nice. It
you?
feels very.
Yeah. Are you from Bihar or UP?
I'm from Dhanbad, born in Dhanbad, and but I did my schooling in Mussoorie and there. So,
That's why you have two first names.
pata nahi, I think when I was born, my name was Siddharth. But my mom gives me, I don't know, I keep asking my mom, why have you put Rajeev before Siddharth? But I don't get an answer. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to tell me.
Great. It's so nice, and I really do hope you do even better than you've been doing. And don't forget to play the nice guy, but you can, of course, go out and explore everything else as well. But we have such a dearth of nice guys on screen. I mean, evolved guys, not wimpish guys, nice
Yeah,
guys with a character,
right.
with a certain sense of self. What's the painting behind you? It's so beautiful.
I bought it online and it just struck me, and I keep giving it my, meanings and interpretations of my own. But yeah,
Yeah, it
is
looks
that.
lovely. It looks like this solitary thing out there somewhere, I wonder what it is. Anyway, thank you so much, Rajiv. It was such a pleasure, and I really do wish you all the best. It's so nice to see you doing well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure talking to you. mean,
Thank you
I
so
could
much.
have,
Thank you,
I would
ma'am.
have loved speaking with you for the next hour.
No, but I'm definitely going to watch you, especially Gauhar. I'm very keen to watch that. I find her life very interesting. So, Vikram Sampath wrote a lovely book on her as well. So, I'd
In
like to
fact,
watch that.
in fact, Mahesh Datani has taken it from his book itself.
Acknowledge him.
Yeah.
Ah, right. So lovely.
So
So, I hope to see it at some point. It's Primetime Theatre? Whose is it?
Primetime theater. Primetime.
Primetime. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
All the best.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.